In today's video, we got to talk about Joe Biden's plans for your inheritance. What he means when he says he wants to eliminate the step up in basis. Good morning, YouTube. What is up? My name is Mike the CPA. Welcome to Money and Life TV, where we teach finances, investing, and taxes. This is such an important video topic, so I really hope you will share this with your family and friends. Most people don't understand what Joe Biden means when he plans to eliminate step-up in basis, which is why we're going to talk about it here today. Let's go ahead and dive into the content right now. Before we do though, it would mean a lot to me if you want to help other people see this information, if you can simply just drop a like on this video, engage in the comments below. Let me know what your opinions are around this topic as we discuss it in the video. You think if this is a good idea, bad idea, why or why not? And certainly be subscribed for our upcoming episodes as time goes on and as I learn more about what Biden plans to do. I'll be producing more videos around these different tax topics to keep you informed. When I use the term step up in the general public, most people look at me like a deer in the headlights. Or they think I'm talking about that dance movie, Step Up. And there's actually, believe it or not, 5 Step Up movies. Scary, right? But no, I'm not talking about that at all. I'm talking about step up in basis. To help you understand what step up in basis means, I'm gonna visually illustrate what it is because I think it's the easiest way to explain it. What I've done is I've put together this quick example that I would like to go over with you so you can see what the rules are right now and the rules Biden plans to pass later on, or at least what is proposed. And I want you to see how this works and how big of a difference this would actually make to your overall inheritance. With basis step up, what is it? So let's just look at an example. It's very easy concept to understand once you see how it works. In this example, I'm just gonna use the example of your parents buying a home way back when, and now your last living parent has passed. And so you're going to inherit that home, and now it's going to be yours. And watch what happens with the cost basis with step up. And then we'll look at it under Biden's plan if step up is eliminated. So let's say your parents, they bought a home back in the 1980s, 1990s, whatever. And let's say they paid around $110,000 at that point in time. Years go by, and eventually they pass away. At the time at which they pass away, the home they purchased that was worth $110,000, their home, when they passed, was worth $351,000 at that point in time. What you're seeing here is from the difference between what it's worth when your parents pass away versus what they purchased it for, $110,000, that is a $241,000 gain, or $241,000 appreciation in value. What step up is, or how it works, is this is under the current rules, is you, as the person inheriting the property, you get to step up the basis to what their basis is, or the value of their home is, at their date of death, or their time of passing. Therefore, your parents' value was $110,000, and this is why I want to visually show you this. Well, you take that $110,000 in the cost basis to you steps up to the value it is at their date of death, which means that your cost basis in the property now is not $110,000, but now it's $351,000, the value it was at when they passed. When we're talking about taxes, or if we're talking about renting this property out eventually, we want as high of a basis as possible. Because if we sell it, a higher basis is going to offset capital gains. And if we rent it, a higher basis is going to help us have a larger depreciation expense against any rental income we receive on the property. Let's see how this would play out if we sell the property under this example. Pretend with me now that we decide that we're going to sell the home shortly after our parents pass away. We're going to be able to sell the home for $360,000. Therefore, our cost basis now to help offset any taxable gains is what? It's not the $110,000, it's the $351,000. That's going to help offset the proceeds we receive from the home sale. Also, I've estimated some selling fees or selling expenses, which is common when selling rentals, or when selling real estate in general, I should say. I just put $15,000 in, which is, to me, not completely unreasonable based on the high prices of real estate right now. Therefore, if you have this scenario, when you sell the property, you're actually going to have a no taxable gain, because once you include your cost basis, the stepped up value, less the $15,000 of selling expenses, there's going to be no taxable gain whatsoever. Therefore, if you have this property, and let's just assume the property has no mortgage on it. The only thing you would have to dish out money for is the selling expenses, right? So you would have your $360,000, what you sold it for, less the selling expenses of $15,000. Therefore, the cash left over to you is $345,000 that you walk away with once you sell your parents' home. Sounds pretty good, right? At least to me it does. Doesn't sound too bad. But now let's see what happens using the same scenario, but under Biden's plans. Under what Biden's proposing as it stands right now, this is how the same example would play out. Okay, we have our $360,000 in selling price, right? We sold it for the same amount. But the biggest factor, the biggest difference here is now our cost basis is the step up has been eliminated, which means we now have to sell the home with the cost basis our parents bought it for, which was way back when things were so much cheaper, right? So therefore, we only can offset our taxable gain, our proceeds by $110,000. Our selling fees remain the same at $15,000. Therefore, we now have a taxable gain on the sale, $360 minus $110 minus $15 of $235,000 in taxable gains. And we're just going to assume, now everybody's capital gain rate's different. For most people, it's part of this would be taxed at 0%, but it depends on what other forms of income you have as well. That's going to play into this. But just for simplification's sake, let's just assume you're going to pay a federal capital gain rate of 15% on this gain. 15% of $235,000 is $35,250, and I'll prove that to you here real quick. So that's where that number is coming from right here. Now, let's not forget, many of us live in a state where we also have to pay state taxes as well. In California has various different income brackets. California does not have any special capital gain rates. California only has its own ordinary marginal tax rates. So let's assume you've paid 15% for Fed on this transaction, but now on your state tax return, you also now have to pay an additional 4% in taxes on that gain amount. Therefore, you're looking at a total tax. Now this is just rough numbers. In reality, it would be a little bit lower than this. It would be closer to 40,000 because I put this through tax software. And it's closer to 40, the real number, but just for simplification, let's just roll with this. You're going to look at a total tax of $40,000 to $45,000 on this transaction. That's roughly where it's going to be if step up in basis is eliminated. Therefore, assuming the property has no mortgage, you would have about $40,000 less in cash under Biden's plan if you sold the home versus how the rules are right now. Most people don't understand what he means when he says step up in basis. This is why I wanted to show you this. The school system, and this is just my opinion, purposely keeps us ignorant to taxes, so we don't understand how they work. But, when I was following the news, I kept hearing he's not going to tax you more as long as your income's under $400,000. It kept being promoted. That is not necessarily true. As you can see, this is an indirect way to tax you more. Whether or not people understand it, that's another matter. This is why I wanted to display this example. Real quickly, let's see what would happen if we decide not to sell the property, but we want to rent it out. Well, then the cost basis or the stepped up basis is going to affect how much depreciation expense is going to help us offset whatever rental income we receive on that property, right? So therefore, we want the higher basis. So let's go back up here, and we see the $351,000 is our value of the home when it stepped up. Let's pretend that we can't depreciate the land, so let's just pretend that the land represents 25% of the value, and the property, the residence, is the other 75%. That is the amount we can actually depreciate. Therefore, our cost basis for tax depreciation purposes is $263,000. Residential rental real estate is depreciated over 27 and a half years. Therefore, our annual depreciation deduction is going to be about $9,000 to $10,000, roughly, give or take. Under Biden's plan, if we eliminate step up in basis, our cost basis is $110,000, right? If we take 75% of that value as the value for the home of the residence that we can depreciate, and we depreciate that over 27 and a half years, our cost basis is now our depreciation expense annually is only about $3,000 compared to close to $9,000 or $10,000 under the current rules. As you can see, this is going to affect a lot of people. Even if they don't realize it's going to affect them, it's kind of a hidden tax on its way. There's a lot of people out there, and you let me know. I mean, I'm open to hearing everyone's opinions. Some people are totally fine paying more taxes. They think it should be this way. Other people, though, once you see how much money you have to dish out to the government, your parents didn't have to do this, but now you have to do this, then it kind of irks you the wrong way. At least it does for me. I'm just saying. For me personally, it does. And it's unfortunate because I think the cost of living and everything else is so much higher now than it ever was for our parents. But I digress. I'm not going to go into that. So that's in a general sense of how step up in basis works and how that would play out whether you rented the home or you sold the home. Of course, if you have multiple beneficiaries, if you have brothers and sisters who obviously are part of the inheritance, then you can spread out the tax 3 ways, whatever. But everybody will equally, in theory, get less money because of the new rules. I think, though, if you're going to tax people more if they sell the home, I think it's going to encourage or incentivize people to not sell the home to avoid paying that tax. Now, if this does pass, it's possible that at some point in the future, it changes back to the old rules. I don't know. It's all speculation at this point. But if things do progress the way they're progressing, this will pass. The other thing I want to mention is step up in basis not only works for home sales like this, but it works if a person has farmland. It's the same rules apply. If they have farmland, farming equipment, if they have a business, things like that. So there's all sorts of things this would affect that people don't realize who don't do taxes. Now, let's say your parents have a taxable brokerage account, and in last week's video, I talked about reporting filing your taxes using a 1099-B. Well, if they have that non-retirement taxable brokerage account, then the stocks that you inherit from your parents would also get a step up in basis as well. Therefore, let's say your parents bought Apple stock for dirt cheap, like $100 or $50, whatever. And now Apple stock is worth God knows how much after all those different stock splits. Well, under the current law, you would still get a step up in basis, and you could sell off that Apple stock and pay virtually no gains. But if step up in basis is eliminated, then you're going to have to use the basis at which your parents originally bought the stock for, and that could lead to all kinds of taxable gains if they have a taxable brokerage account. If they have a Roth IRA that you inherit or a traditional 401k, it's not really going to affect you either way because there's no step up there. But if it is a taxable account, if they have a business, if they have rentals, if they have a personal residence, if they have farmland, all those kind of things, step up does affect. And it's to your benefit to have a higher cost basis. But it looks like, as we're seeing now, this could go away. All right, everyone, we've went through the details here in these simple examples. I hope you got a lot out of this. If you did, do me a huge favor, engage in the comments below. Let me know, now that you know what this is and how it might work and play out, what do you think of Biden's plan to eliminate step up in basis? Do you think it's a good idea? Do you agree with it? Do you agree that people should use their parents' cost basis? Or would you prefer to have the higher stepped up value as the rules are right now when I'm filming this video? You know how I feel, but I want to know how you feel. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like. I'll see you down in the comments. Subscribe for our future weekly videos to help you become fiscally fit. Have a wonderful week. Live life uncaged, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.